if I had one child that would stand out the most, would probably be the first little girl that came live with us. And she wasn't but like 4-year-old. And she would hide canned goods up under the bed. I mean, at night, she'd get canned goods out of the closet, out of the cabinet, and put them up under her bed. And I told my wife, I said, how is she gonna open those canned goods? Because she didn't have no can opener or nothing. And my wife would say, she's not thinking that far ahead. She's thinking about where's her next meal gonna come from, you know. And she didn't gain trust in us yet. One day she come up to me and she says, Paw, because all the grandkids call me Paw. So she'd say, Paw. Yeah, I say, okay, what do you want? She said, can I have something to drink? I said, baby, you can have anything you want. And I almost cried right in front of her, but I let her go to the kitchen, and then I started crying because prior to that, she wouldn't ask me, you know. She didn't trust me enough. But after that, she trusted me enough, and she never did ask no more, could she have something? Because I explained to her, when she comes in my house, she don't have to ask for no food at all. Just go to the refrigerator and get it. And after that, she done that. And she had like 25 or 28 canned goods up under the bed. And in 2 weeks, she put every one of them back.
I had a little girl, I still have her on my caseload. I've had her for 3 years now. And one time when I was visiting, she was just different. She wouldn't speak to me, and I kept asking her, you know, what's going on? You know, why aren't you talking to me? We always talk. We always have a good meeting, a good visit. And she's like, I just don't want to talk. I just don't want to talk. And I'm like, what's going on? Tell me. And she stood up and she yelled at me. Like, she stood right in front of me and she said, this is all your fault. You only come to see me once a month and then you forget about me. And it hurt me so bad. Because I thought to myself, I'm like, that's right, I do just see her once a month. And so ever since then, I've made it a point to where whenever I go see her, I see her brother first and then I see her last. And I spend more time with her. Whether it's coloring, reading a book, going outside for a walk, whatever it is, you know, I spend more time with her. And now we're getting to a point where she understands exactly what's going on. She knows I'm still looking for an adoptive home. She told me one time that when she changed her name, when she was finally adopted, that she was going to change her middle name to be Elizabeth. And I told her, playing around, I'm like, why do you want that name? I don't like that name. It's an ugly name. And she said, no, it's not. I'm like, why do you want it then? She said, because it's your name. Because everything you've done to help me. She said, and I finally understood that. And I started crying right in front of her, and I hugged her, you know, and it hit home. I was like, yes, I have, you know, I have. And I'm just like, I just try to shake it off in front of her, but I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that.
Several of us, we're friends outside the defects. You just get close with the workers. 3 of us lost our fathers back to back. The third one of us that lost our father, we were at the funeral home, and you know, it's a sad time and everybody's upset. And my Kylie is trying to fix it. And she tells them, it's okay. Defects can get you a new daddy. That's her reality, is that defects got her a daddy. Of course, moms are not important, you know. Daddies, to little girls, daddies are the heroes. But defects is her hero. Defects puts families together, and that's her reality.
I was a guardian ad litem for a child when I was practicing, and this mom had delivered a baby positive for methamphetamine. She literally had no idea who this child's father was, because she was living in a meth house. And I was looking at her going, there's just no way. Like, we should just go ahead and file a termination now. The addiction is so strong and so severe. And I just kind of watched this case kind of going, okay, foregone conclusion, this is a done deal. But we did what we always do, which is recommend, encourage, get into treatment. And she did, and she got into treatment. And she continued to do well. And she had amazing foster parents who had her child, and they loved this child and took care of this child and built this relationship with her as well. And she got out of treatment, and she got a job, and she got a house, and ultimately we returned custody to her, and she still used the foster parents as her babysitters. At the final hearing at the end of court, it was probably just over 12 months. She'd had the baby at home for 4 or 5 months, but we just made sure things were still going well. She was in tears. The foster parents were in tears. I'm in tears. The judge is in tears, just because it was one of those you couldn't ask for better. And so then 3 years later, I run into these foster parents at a community event, and I say, I was a guardian ad litem on this case. And they said, that's right, we remember you. And they had moved to a different county, and they were in a different area, and it was just a happenstance. And they said, we still keep up with her. In fact, she moved in with us for a period of time. She had struggles. She hadn't relapsed, but she just had struggles. And yet, here was this relationship that had been created because of foster care. So many times a court case ends and we never know what happens afterwards. And we never hear the next chapter, or 4 chapters later. If we do, it's usually in a bad circumstance. And so to hear that there was life, and there were curveballs, and there were difficulties, but yet she still had her baby, and he was now 4, 5, or 6, and the foster parents were still involved, and they weren't the foster parents anymore, and it was the long-lasting one that didn't go away. We all live for the good moments and the happy moments, because there's so many dark moments, and you need that encouragement. You need to know that reunification is possible, and that healthy children are possible, and the recovery is possible, and you have to see it and believe it and hold on to that hope, because otherwise it would be overwhelming.